So what's happening, YouTube? This is Doug Jenkins. Just going to give you a few in-the-box plugs that really can help you start to master records, start to figure this out. But I want you guys to understand I'm going to start doing a like an online course where it's a lot more involved, a lot more advanced. I want to get a little deeper. I think my YouTube channel to this point has been pretty much just like sending out a topic, showing you some cool stuff, maybe, and I hope that it's helped you through the years, and it's helped me, and I appreciate doing it. Today, my little nephew came over to my mom's, his grandma, and he's like, check this out, and he's like making beats, and I'm like, oh man, I'm like, it's ran in the family, and my mom was like, well, Doug can criticize you. I'm like, I can't do that. And so he sent me this, and I was like, wow, that's really good, dude. This was like loop production, but I was like, I'm going to use it. I'm going to use it for a video. And I'm going to talk about some cool plugins. I mean, this is going to be just some fun plugins that I've learned work really well for the job at mastering. I think if you're trying to go for just like turn your music up, you don't want to screw your stuff up, and you want to take it out to your car and see how it is. I'm going to show you one of my favorites. To this day, it's still my favorite. I learned this plugin when I was first in recording school. It's called an R compressor. A lot of people use the R Vox on vocals. They use some things like that. But this compressor has always come in handy just to turn it up without changing it much. So the reason I like this is just setting like a basic ratio, a little bit of threshold at the peak. Watch. And then find the attack and release you want. So maybe a longer attack, a little bit of a shorter release. Get that snare popping a little more. But that's all it's going to do. It's going to hold it at that ratio, and we're going to turn it up here. Awesome plugin, by the way. Now, different modes like smooth, opto, these really help you out as far as just the way that it perceives. There's a little perception change. It's not going to like reinvent the wheel, but it was meant that way. It's a really, really powerful plugin. So if you don't have the R compressor on your list, I would highly recommend that. That's not mastering what I did, though. That is turning your album up to get it to the car. So actually, though, some albums, like with this Neve piece, dude, that does that, and that's why I love that so much. It does that in a way, but it's even, I don't know how to describe it. It has its own mojo, but it's not the R comp. It's a little bit different, but it's not a real heavy change in the stereo field. Whereas if I did this is that's a compressor, and we didn't compress much. We just turned up the sound. The problem with that, so I'm going to give you the weakness of that. If you're trying to do that with a track where the bass is too loud, or the mix is hollow, or it doesn't have a good image, that's not really going to work what I just did. So you can't do that for every record, and that's where the course that we're going to do is going to come in handy. So the next one that I like is, this one came about on I think it was a Black Friday sale, but I started reading about an engineer that was using the Mic DSP ML4000. He goes, dude, I put that on every record. And I downloaded this. I think it cost me a few $100, but man, I was like blown away at the one album I was working on. It was perfect. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes it's not hardware. It's like, that was the perfect choice for this. So what's cool about this is it's a multi-band limiter. And what you can do is you can go in, you can actually EQ out parts. So watch. So I'll get in the middle of this song. So check this out. So now I can tell that multiband, I want to compress this and give it a little more pump. Broke the beat. So what's really cool about this is we haven't even touched the threshold, so we're not really limiting anything. But watch as I start limiting how it brings it up. Check it out. Another cool thing is the modes it has. Watch the modes it has. This is really cool. So we can go to clean, to a dynamic mode, soft mode. Watch. Pretty crazy, right? So sometimes that's the sound that something needs. I mean, it's that sound. You need to give it that life and that mid-range presence. It does have a brightness to it. I'm not talking a high-end brightness, but just a clarity, a surgical sound to it, which sometimes that's exactly what a record really needs, or a song, and it just brings that presence. Like I said, I was working on an album one time and it was just really hit. And I was just struggling and fighting to get out the vocals and everything else that was fighting. And this thing I was just carving, man, and I lifted everything. And like 7 hours later, I was like, wow. And the guy was like, this is the best thing I've ever heard. And it was like literally a lot of work. The next plugin that I really like when it comes to mastering is... I like this new mastering thing from Live, the TG, which is the TG stuff. This I wouldn't classify to a guy trying to do like a heavy lift. It's a gentleman that I speak to every once in a while on Facebook, but Mauer. And he did this hi-fi vibe. So there's some cool... The reason I brought that up is there's some great engineers in here. And he does this like really quick... like just a little bit of a tint of just fidelity and depth and shape. So shout outs to him. And some of these engineers you can really learn just by buying plugins like this. And I love where the business has went because of this. But listen to how gradual this is when he does this, the hi-fi vibe. It's just a little tuck here and there. Listen. So you see what I mean? It's just a little bit of a bump. So if you start getting into the course that we're doing, I mean, it's the combo of these things. So this is what I'm trying to say, is if you put that preset on and you're thinking it's like an all-in-one mastering preset, no, that's a shape. You're using that as a mastering EQ in that regard. And then you can put this on. So check this out. Pretty cool, right? So now that's another one. That's called the Waves TG mastering chain. There's actually a limiter on it, modern limiter, just a basic limiter, that the way that the piece was designed. I think this is from Abbey Road Studios. Yeah, Abbey Road Studios. Yeah, very subtle EQ. It's almost like these porticos, just real nice and gradual. Nothing extensive or major. My next fave plugin comes from the FabFilter line, the Pro Multiband. I use this a ton. So I'll listen to this, and a lot of times I'm using my eyes with this one. I'll listen, and I'll go, oh man, we're gonna have to deal with this. And this is real flat, you know. What I like about the multiband stuff is you can actually be very cautious to make it. I use linear a lot. It's very transparent. I also like the look ahead feature. Really cool. You can do oversampling, so you can actually 4 times the sample rate. I believe that's what it means. and you're actually getting very precise. So I can hear a lot of the times when I'm using a multiband, I'm hearing a certain frequency range that's just a little bit too much, you know. So for example, let's just make this up, but let's say the low end sub stuff was way too much in his song. Well, let's just do that. Let's just make it a reality. And this is one of my faves too, by the way. This plugin, love it. 25th anniversary, baby. Good job, Waves. Let's say there's a build up here. So I get the master like that, 91 hertz, dude. I'm like, dang, dude, we got to get control of that. But when I turn it down with an EQ, it just doesn't do the trick. It's not the right thing. It's that bass is really needing to be in there, and that EQ, when I take it, it makes it sound flat. So what I'll do, a lot of times it's not the actual EQ or the level of the thing, it's the dynamics are real either too much, or the release is set wrong, or the attack's set wrong. You listen to it at your house with the wrong system, whatever it is. So I'll go in that range with this, and I'll find that frequency range. In this case, I'm cheating because I know which one it is, but I'll find the range, I'll listen to it around 91 hertz, and I'll start to grab that range and tighten it up the way I think it should be. So I'll grab this, I'll do some look ahead if it needs it. That means the compressor is going to see the actual transient before the audio triggers. That's what the look ahead's all about. So we're going to see this. And we're going to compress it. Like that. You can save a lot of albums that way, just doing stuff like this. Just a quick bypass, and you notice the bass was like way up and boomy. In a hip-hop song, it becomes very interesting because I might want that boom, but just by carving around it, it's a big deal. Another great one for doing that is this. I'm going to show you. This is one of my faves too. This one I think comes with the Pro Tools Ultimate, but this has become a super favorite of mine. And this has been a favorite of many engineers, so I'm not reinventing anything here or giving you some no-brainer like, hey guys, check out what I found. This thing's been around for a while. Actually, a guy that I know about 45 minutes from here, I helped him with his patch bay, and this dude has the original one of these, and I'm like, dude, he goes, oh, I've been collecting it for years, and I heard it, and it sounded incredible. So what's cool about a Pultec is it attenuates certain frequencies and boosts. So it's like the way I can describe it, it's going like this, you know, and you can find, and you're sort of like finding the exact frequency range. So watch, listen to the low end here. So that's cool. We'll get into some more in the course we're going to do. I'll get into some more technique, like why you do this or why you could push an EQ into a certain compressor or you know, different signal flow. But the reason that that's so powerful in mastering is a lot of times I'll get a mix and it's like this. Like, so everything in the mids and then the highs and the lows are like this. And it could just be like attenuation on the sides to just refine them. And you're tweaking those sides, and then it's naturally bringing the low mid range up and the mids back in, and you're not really altering anything. And that's why I think Pultecs were so powerful. The other reason is the sound and the way they were designed and the frequency curves. They're popular frequencies, 60 hertz, 30 hertz, 20 hertz, and 100 hertz. And the way that the bandwidth can change, and it can become very sharp in the way that it cuts and dips, or it can become very broad in the way. So it's a very powerful tool. So a lot of times I'll find myself using that, the Pultec. it's a really cool feature. Now, so you got the Pultec, the mastering plugin from Waves, the the R compressor, the Pro Multiband, and I'll give you one last one for this video. One that I recently, which one do I want to give you? Which one do I want to talk about? Hold on. Give me a second. I don't know what to do. Yeah, I'm going to do this one. This is the F6. This thing is really cool too. I was going to do the Brainworks, the BX, but this thing is powerful too. We're going to sort of keep it in the multi-band plugins, but these are really cool. This thing is just similar to the Pro Multiband, but the cool reality is this has a few more features, and it actually sounds different. It's actually not as grabby. It's very transparent. So watch this. Hear that range? Watch this. Watch. Crazy, right, dude? So I wasn't like planning that out for all of them to sort of work together, but yeah, they're all good at what they do. This is more in a musical sense, like F, you know, it talks about sense. You can really get musical with this. The other thing is there's some cool mid-side features you can use. I haven't used that yet. You can trigger from an external source as far as sidechain mode. I haven't really got into those. I've been so impressed with just the way that it works. As far as how it sounds, it's a multi-band dynamic EQ. That's pretty much what it is. So you can tweak this and then crunch it. But in the end stages, especially in these modern recordings, this can become super handy, or it can be really too much. So be careful if you don't know what you're doing. But these are something that have become popular in the last few years, and I would say even the last year, I would say. But yeah, this is a cool plugin, and I'll give you one more, okay? These are classified mastering plugins, but I want to show you this one that's sort of a mastering plugin, but sort of not a mastering plugin. You can tell that I'm going to the dynamic section a lot because we're just keeping it there. But let me see if I can find this one. This will be my last one for the video. It is called... Hold on a second here. If I can't find it, I'm going to lose it. I'm starting to my eyes are starting to water. There it is. The dynamic EQ. So this is another popular thing that you can use in mastering, but this is really neat. So let's say this is real life, okay? A guy sends me a mix and he crushes the daylights out of his drums. I'm like, oh, dude, and it's so tiny and small, and the life's out of it, and I'm like, man, this is where this tool comes in handy. So listen as I play this loop here. The threshold, I start to pull it, and what it does is it starts to expand that range. It's really neat. So a lot of times somebody hits this range like in the 120 too much, or let's say the 400 range. So watch as this works. I haven't used it in a while, but hear that? Dude, that thing is sick. Brainworks, you did an awesome thing there. That dynamic EQ and the way they set it up to work right out of the gate as you sweep the frequencies, you find what's hit too hard. And you can bring life, you can literally resuscitate a song with that. That was just a basic overview of it. You can use that as a de-esser. You can add boom. Look at all these cool things they've done. But dude, that is a crazy awesome plugin. So any dynamic EQ. The other thing that reminds me of is that we use a lot in mastering is the SSL. But it's not. I've used this actually in a mastering session because I couldn't hear the transients. But if you listen to this transient shaper, listen to this. This is cool. So we got it in listen mode here. So we're finding the attack and the ta 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 ta. So watch what this does when you put it in context. It's incredible. Off. So I'm going to end the video like that, but I think there's a lot to be said about that. I think that's, well, I know SSL just came out with a piece that really does some of that high frequency stuff, low frequency stuff, and that transient shaper, that's a trick. Please, I would like, as I end this video, I'd like you guys to add comments if you want to see, you know, us take this to the next level. I want the support to do so, because I was talking today to a good friend of mine, like, man, I want to do like a full-blown full-blown course, just everything, and just go at it and do it professionally and all these things. And I said it's going to cost some money, it's going to take some time, but dude, it would be sweet, and he was all for it. So hopefully, if you guys have anything to say about that, I just wanted to do some of the cool plugins that you can use to start mastering at home, or just get a decent master. Okay, what I mean by that is turn it up so you can hear it in your car and tweak with some stuff. There's a lot of tools there, but I'm not saying to like start doing people's records at your house, but I do want to do an online course where I literally go in depth in these, so you may be able to walk away, you know, with enough understanding of rooms, converters, you know, equipment, all the good stuff you need, and then plugins and all that. So hopefully we can do that course online. If you want to support me in that, or send a comment, I'd appreciate it, and what topics and what you really want to learn out there. But this is another, you know, video, and I hope this finds some people well, and they can maybe make something of it and use these plugins, you know, from here into the future, and have fun. So my name's Doug Jenkins. I mix N. That's why you don't put water on the desk. Nmaster.com. I just spilled a water. Whoops. It's not sitting up here. Some guy said that in one of my videos. He's like, Doug. And I was like, yeah, you're right, dude. So thank you guys so much for watching. That's a cool trick. This is a cool trick. This is awesome. This is like my classic fave. This one's really unique as I've started to get into it, to just grab it and overall EQ changes and just really balancing the stereo field and stereo imaging and all that. And the EQP1, man, it's an iconic classic. That thing's been around for years, but it still does the job, and it does it well. So yeah, try to get some of those plugins. Oh, and then the last one was oh, I overdid it, but the dynamic EQ from Plugin Alliance. Thanks for watching. Peace.